What's going on, ABL?
Everything is good, man. I'm ready for the show today. It's going to be a lot to say. It's a lot on my mind. I've been asked about this from a lot of different people just out in the street, randomly, people that don't even know me, random strangers. So this is a really hot button issue that can be taken a lot of different ways. But I'm ready to rock.
Before we kind of get started with the show, do us a small favor for those people who might be watching this and not familiar with your content on your YouTube channel. Tell people briefly what your YouTube channel is about.
All right. Well, I'm a conservative guy. My content is basically about hot news stories, things that are going on. Like I just did a video today talking about Elizabeth Warren. She is a senator from Massachusetts, and she had this DNA test to prove that she was Native American because Trump came at her talking about Pocahontas, joking her because she had said before that she is Native American or she has quote unquote Native ancestry. And a DNA test came back. And they're talking about she is 1,024th. You heard that right. 1,024th. You're talking about a fraction of a percent Native American, but yet she was able to use that to, tell the schools that she was teaching law at that she is of Native ancestry and get put on a whole minority teachers list. You understand what I'm saying? So I talk about stuff like that on my channel. From a conservative point of view, I talk about current events as it relates to politics.
Okay. And what also makes it very interesting is that you're obviously an African-American Black YouTuber. So that gives another unique perspective. But for those people who want to subscribe to Anthony Brown Logan, we will have his link in the description. Anthony Brown Logan, tell me what is going on right now in America with Kanye West and with Donald Trump and Black America, in your opinion?
Well, but the problem with Kanye and Black America and Donald Trump is people aren't listening to what Kanye is saying. They're choosing not to listen. They try to say that something's wrong with him. He's crazy since his mom died, is that, and the third. They're using that as an excuse to not listen to what the man is saying. If they heard what he was saying, then they would probably agree with most of it, because I heard what he said. I listened to the whole thing a couple times. That's part of what I do here. I just have to kind of analyze what's happening in the news. And a lot of what he said really could be considered very liberal. We'll get into all the things he said here, but people don't like him talking to Trump. They don't like him wearing this hat right here. You see, I got it right here. They don't like him wearing this hat. They say that this right here is a symbol of oppression. It's a symbol of hatred. It's all these different things. They don't like the optics of what he is doing. Therefore, they assign all these kind of things on him that aren't really true.
Let's talk about what is Kanye West saying. So there's some things that he's saying that people don't want to listen to. What is he saying?
Well, he's talking about just general things that a lot of liberals would appreciate. The main thing that he was speaking about in the Oval Office, he was talking about prison reform. Okay. He was saying that the 13th Amendment has a trap door. Now, some people heard him say he wants to abolish 13th Amendment as saying he wants to get rid of the protection against slavery. No, that's not what it was. It's crazy. Even people that have a vested interest in agreeing with Kanye West disagree with him simply because met with the president. They didn't like those optics. Ava DuVernay, who had a documentary called The 13th, she explained how the 13th Amendment has a clause in it that says slavery is over except for prisoners. If you get convicted of a crime, then you become a slave again. So Kanye West wants that to be taken away. Now, for those of us who, claim to be, pro-Black, all this, that, and the third, wouldn't you want a thing to be removed from the Constitution that would directly impact you? I mean, Ava DuVernay put out the documentary. I never heard anybody say, oh, she's crazy for talking about the 13th Amendment. You need to have that there. A lot of the pro-Black people applauded her for that, said it was a good thing. Kanye West says the exact same thing that she was talking about in the documentary. And matter of fact, he probably got that talking point from her. He says the exact same thing. People saying, oh, he's trying to bring back slavery, this, that, and the third. Silly stuff. Another thing, he talked about freeing Larry Hoover from the penitentiary. Larry Hoover, as a big time, well-known gang leader, or was a long time ago. I forget what gang he started. It might have been Gangster Disciples. I can't really remember what gang it was in the Midwest, but he was a big time dude. and he's been locked up for a long time. I think he said like 6 life sentences. He told Trump that he wants Larry Hoover to get freed. Now, again, this is a thing that a lot of liberals would like. They would want to have a guy like Larry Hoover freed from the penitentiary. They said they turned his life around. He's doing very well in prison. But again, because Kanye is talking to Trump about this, all of a sudden it's a problem. People that wouldn't even go to the White House to free their own cousin, their own mama, because it's Trump, are criticizing Kanye West. Also, he was talking about bringing jobs back from China, from Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, etc. He's talking about bringing jobs right back to Chicago, his hometown. Now, Barack Obama is not really from Chicago, but he adopted Chicago as his hometown. He grew up in Indonesia and Hawaii, but that's a different story, so I'm going to digress. He adopted Chicago, but I never heard about Obama trying to bring jobs specifically back to Chicago and the surrounding area. So Kanye wants to do that. He has a high position over at Adidas, and they're making plenty of money. So he wants to take the success that he has helped garner over there at Adidas and give it right back to the community. He spoke about gun ownership. He says that owning guns is your right. You have the right to bear arms. So when the reporter lady, the white lady, asked him about guns and what he thought about that, he was saying he had the right to bear arms. Mm-hmm. And why would that be a bad thing? In Chicago, where Kanye is from, you got a big problem with gangbangers, people that are out there in the streets having the guns. Chicago itself has a very high, it's probably the most strict area in the country for gun control, but yet it doesn't stop all the killing. Guns will help regular citizens be able to arm themselves against the criminals who are going to have the guns regardless of what. These are going to be the same guys out here over and over again shooting and killing that are shooting sitting ducks that are not allowed to arm themselves. If the regular citizen arms themselves, then they become a criminal, and then they got to go to prison and deal with the whole 13th Amendment trapdoor, like Kanye said. A lot of what he said to Trump made a lot of sense. He was trying to talk about ways to get in cleaner energy, different kinds of more transportation. A lot of things he was saying, I think most black folks would agree with. If Kanye West said those exact same things to Barack Obama, there would be no problems. Nobody would be hating on him. Nobody would try to say that he's crazy, all this, that, and the third. So that's the main thing we got to talk about here.
Let me ask you a question. And I'm going to shout out the Super Chats. Thank you guys so much for the support. And do me a favor, subscribe to Anthony Brian Logan. For those people in the description and those of you in the live stream, please like the video. Let me ask you this real quick, because you said if Kanye was talking to Barack Obama, it would be no problem. However, since he's talking to Donald Trump, there's an issue.
Yes.
Why do you feel that African-American people, for the most part, have an issue with Donald Trump?
They don't like Trump now all of a sudden, because before this whole thing, before Trump became the president, they loved Trump. You hear all kind of songs from rappers. Nelly, remember that Bill Gates, Donald Trump, let me in now. You had Ray Shremmer, up like Donald Trump. You had a lot of rappers that will put Trump in their songs. There's all kind of pictures of Trump with prominent black figures. Jesse Jackson, Don King. I mean, a lot of people. Muhammad Ali. He is somebody that the black community really embraced. They liked his braggadocious style. Trump is kind of like Ric Flair a little bit. You know, a lot of black folks love Ric Flair, going around saying woo, all this, that, and the third, wearing the, Rolexes and diamond chains and big cars. They like that kind of flashy guy with money, got all the women. They like that. Now, all of a sudden, because he is a conservative, he has to be the enemy. We think that conservatives are the enemy right away because so many of us have been brainwashed and convinced that voting liberal is the right thing to do. When it comes to a liberal, we don't really care about their policy. We don't really care about what they stand for. We don't really care about anything, as in the case of Barack Obama. Many of us, black folks, come from the church. We come from somewhat conservative roots. We don't really believe in the LGBT movement. We're not really into a lot of the things that the left is pushing, but we won't even really criticize their particular point of view. Barack Obama was a guy that was good as far as his appearance only. That's all we talk about. We say, oh, his wife was elegant. He was elegant. He, always looked good. His kids are beautiful, but we don't talk about any kind of substance. We don't talk about the things he actually did. We don't talk about how he treated people. We don't talk about how he called Kanye West a jackass because he wanted to defend the white woman and Taylor Swift with the whole Beyonce thing happened. We don't talk about that. We just say, oh, he's good because he's black and he's a liberal, right? Matter of fact, Barack Obama can have the same talking points, the same politics, the same wife, the same kids, but be a conservative. He would not even have gone as far as he did to be the president because he instantly be labeled as a coon, Uncle Tom, or whatever. And the reason why I know that is because a prime example is Ben Carson. Ben Carson had a movie about his life featuring Cuba Gooding Jr. long before he ever decided he wanted to become the president or run for the presidency. People had pictures of Ben Carson in their house next to Jesus Christ, next to Barack Obama. A lot of black folks love Ben Carson, but all of a sudden, when he became a conservative vocally and ran for president, now all of a sudden, something was wrong with him. He's stupid. He's crazy. You're talking about a neurosurgeon. And Oshay, you are in medical school. You know that you can't be an idiot and be a neurosurgeon. But people call Ben Carson that simply because he's conservative. We have been so brainwashed to believe everything that's liberal and accept it without question. But when it comes to conservatism, all of a sudden we want to become political scholars. We want to become political experts and dig down to the core of what's driving these kinds of thought processes. That's what it is.
Well, let me ask you this. Conservatives, at least black people, they feel, from when I hear black people talk about why they don't want to vote Republican, they feel that Republicans don't like the black community. The Republicans are the conservatives, are not trying to engage the black community. And this is nothing to do with the Democrats here. I know that could be it's easy rebuttal, but why do black people feel that the Republicans don't have an interest in black community issues?
It's because they're not interested in the Republicans. I mean, Republicans, in my opinion, have always been in favor of black folks. We can go all the way back to the very beginning. The Republican Party did not start until 1854. The first president was Abraham Lincoln. What did he do? He freed the slaves. Now, people could say why he did it, but it's really irrelevant at the end of the day. The fact of the matter is that he did it, and the party was started by abolitionists, those who wanted to see slavery come to an end. All throughout history, they've been on our side. When you're talking about gun rights, black folks, we need guns legally to protect ourselves. A lot of us live in very dangerous areas. The Republicans are for your gun rights, and the Democrats are against gun rights for whatever the reason may be. And you see Chicago is a shining example of what happens when the criminals have guns, but the regular citizens don't. You have a total war zone in the black areas specifically, not so much in the white areas, but I digress. Also, conservatives are staunchly against abortion. You have had since 1973 Roe v. Wade, 20 million black babies that have been aborted because of abortion. That's more than homicide, suicide, car accidents, HIV, AIDS, fire, all that, alcoholism, obesity, all that, many times over. But that's okay. We keep going out there with the Planned Parenthood signs, talking about don't defund Planned Parenthood. Meanwhile, you get millions of babies every year that are killed by Planned Parenthood, like 700,000 or so. Black, it's way too many, happens all the time. It's to the point now where the black birth rate is lower than replacement. We need about 2.1 average children to be born in the black community overall to sustain our population or to have any kind of growth. But what we're doing right now is we've kind of plateaued a little bit in population. We're like at 1.94. We're below the 2.1, which is required to have population growth. And we're wondering why we've become the number 3 minority. It happened pretty recently, actually, within the past 10 to 15 years, because, you got the Hispanics coming over here. And that's another thing. Conservatives are against illegal immigration. They want to build a wall. They want to do things that are going to protect citizens from people that come here illegally. The Hispanic population is growing exponentially. You're talking about almost 20% of the U.S. population. We're only about 13%, and people don't really believe that we're only 13%. But you got to understand what happens when you don't have any outside immigration. You don't have any kind of landmass to walk over. You can't walk from Nigeria to the USA the same way somebody from Honduras can walk through Mexico and come to the USA through Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, whatever. All right. So you have the illegal aliens coming. the legal immigrants coming, plus the Hispanic birth rate is much more than ours because we have been so married to the liberal Democratic Party that we're killing ourselves through abortion. We're allowing other groups to come in and overtake us. And then the family structure is all messed up. We've bought into welfare. 76% of Black kids are born outside of wedlock. And that's all because we have bought into the welfare state. We think that it's more important to have the security of the federal government than it is to have an actual male in the household. We're all messed up. Conservatives are against these things that is obviously impacting us right now in a negative way. But liberals are all for it, yet we still march out here and fight for the liberals. We've been brainwashed. A lot of us starting to wake up right now, but too many of us are still asleep.
Let me just do this real quick. And guys, thank you so much. We have 450 people watching. I thank everybody for watching right now. Do me a favor if you can. Go ahead and like the video for those of you who are doing that. And for those people who are not subscribed to Anthony Brian Logan, please go into the description. I'm telling you, he's one of the better YouTubers here, not only just in Black YouTube, but he's kind of, got a base over in Black YouTube too, as well as YouTube in general. So he's very popular in both places. Everybody knows who Anthony Brian Logan is. He comes over here all the time. And so let me actually read out some of the super chats. Cross-Eyed Cricket Farms, thank you. Dar89. Black Man Actual _ 1999 super chat. Thanks for actually touching this topic, brothers. My boy Evan Moore out there with the 5,000 Japanese yen. I didn't have a problem with Kanye's message. I have a problem with his delivery. We'll talk about that definitely. He looked unstable, so his message was lost on me. Strong points. Erica Williams, she'll be on later on tonight. $10. Just watched the full speech from Kanye West. He talked about prison reform, fathers' homes, mental health, and hospital and job reform. But he started talking about multiple universes. No, sir, he still needs some. Liza Jeans, love this unique platform. Thanks, Oshay. Appreciate it while it lasts, fam. Thank you so much. Ye Old Ill One. Proud of you, Oshay. I enjoy all of your contributors. Shout out to my home, East Palo Alto. East Palo Alto, but Palo Alto's where Stanford is. East Palo Alto is a little bit farther from that. In my next donation, I will give you the title of one of your selling rumbles, and you better give me credit. Okay, I'll definitely do that. Mr. Grandeur, make oxtails cheap again. Let me go back and deal with Kanye West. Okay. Me and you had a little bit of a disagreement last year around March 2017 when Ben Carson said that blacks were immigrants, African Americans.
Yeah.
I vehemently disagree with that. It's still do to this day, but that's on the show. Kanye West has made similar statements. One of them was slavery was a choice. This really pissed off black people. Now, Kanye West also said in 2008 that George Bush didn't like black people. Let's deal with the slavery is a choice thing. Is this a statement that if you want to win black people over to the conservative party, knowing how black people feel about slavery, is this the person, Kanye West, a statement that you make like this? Is this insensitive to the African-American community?
Well, yes, it is insensitive. I agree with that. It's not a sensitive statement, but Kanye West is not really out here as a political pundit. He's not going to go on television and be like myself. When I go on RT, I'm able to give you nice, succinct answers you can put into a sound bite, 30 seconds, 1 minute, a minute and a half, or whatever. That's my job. That's what I do. Kanye West is just talking. He's just being himself and just giving you ideas. He's not really worried about, well, how is this going to sound? How am I going to try to get across to certain people? How am I going to reach this demographic? That's what you talk about in board meetings and stuff like that behind the scenes. Kanye is not that guy, never has been. When he was on a telethon and talked about George Bush does not like black people, do you think they talked about that before? Do you think it was something that he put out there to try and get certain people to come over to his side necessarily? He was just talking, all right? He knew he might kind of get in trouble for that. People might not really agree with him, but that's how he felt. People talking about Kanye has changed since his mom died. I don't see any change, really. All I see is slight changes in his behavior. But at the end of the day, you got the same person underneath. He's still talking about the same things. He's still speaking the same way. So, yes, it's insensitive. But at the end of the day, I don't think Kanye's trying to, be a political recruiter. That's somebody like my job, but that's not Kanye. So, yeah, I think I pretty much can leave it there.
let's talk about this. Um, Kanye's. Well, okay. Let's remove Kanye from the mix. You're saying that anybody that is a black conservative or identified with Trump, regardless of Kanye West, any black person is going to get attacked. Can you name any other circumstances where other blacks who had favor with the African American community decided to publicly endorse Trump and have now been ousted outside of Ben Carson?
Let me see. It's not that many. I mean, Jim Brown is an example. A lot of people talking about, oh, Jim Brown's a coon now. Jim Brown, he's old, he's senile, but Jim Brown is an OG civil rights icon. Jim Brown is somebody that black folks should not try to discard in any kind of way. I mean, this guy was really out there in the streets, pounding the pavement. So, I mean, people just don't, again, they don't like that he's been aligned with Trump at all. Ray Lewis, a lot of black folks like Ray Lewis. They like how he beat that murder charge when he first came into the league. They like the way he played. A lot of guys had Ray Lewis jerseys. Now, all of a sudden, Ray Lewis is a coon. You're a fake preacher. You're just trying to get money, all this, that, and the third. It seems like everybody that aligns himself with Trump in some kind of way is somehow seen in a negative way. Bob Johnson, the BET. People talking about, oh, well, BET was trash anyway. You sold it to the white man. You were sellout. But Bob Johnson is somebody that put on a lot of black people, because let's not forget, BET was necessary to have when it was in its prime and when it first came out, because even a guy like Michael Jackson could not get on MTV. Okay. Michael Jackson, probably the best musician of all time, could not get on MTV. But here comes Bob Johnson with BET. Now you have a home. Okay, now you have Comic View. A lot of comics that you know that are on TV right now, that have had big movies right now, came from Comic View. Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie Mac, rest in peace. A lot of guys, even the guy Ken Jeong, the guy who played in Hangover, and had a show with Tisha Campbell from Martin. She played Gina, all right, the Asian guy. He came from comedy or comic View. So he had a platform that put on a lot of black people, a lot of the movies that you didn't really see. Will Packer, who's behind the big Kevin Hart movies and a lot of other black movies that are still going on right now. A lot of his original films were put on BET. I think one of his movies is called Trois. You know, he had like a series of those movies. They were on BET with Kenya Moore and stuff like that. See, I'm going to go all the way back. This ain't something that I just talked about just today. I know a lot about what I'm saying.
Okay.
A lot of black folks don't like these people and will ignore all their accomplishments, all their achievements, simply because they align themselves a little bit with Trump. You might see a guy in the picture with Trump. He may not even really be a Trump supporter per se, but because you see him in the picture, all of a sudden he's a coon. All of a sudden he's an Uncle Tom. All of a sudden everything he did in the past is totally wiped away. It's really a shame.
Let's talk about this. Kanye West had some things to say in the White House. Let's take do a quick recap of what are some of the talking points that you did agree on. What are some things that Kanye West has said, whether at that interview or before the interview, regarding race or regarding the state of the country, that you do agree with?
I mean, I agree with what he said. Like, when we're talking about the meeting with Trump, one of the main things he was talking about is how black folks have been married to the Democratic Party through welfare. I say that all the time. A lot of what he said, I agree. So it's not even me just trying to, quote unquote, cape for Kanye. People can look at my old videos, look at my videos from recently, and you'll see me say the exact same things that he was saying. Welfare, keeping the black community voting Democrat, and also the idea of racism. I talk about that as it relates to white supremacy. People use it as something to try and control you. They'll say, oh, you can't be aligned with that person because they're a racist, they're a white supremacist. Just like Kanye said, whatever you're talking about can't control me. I don't care about no racism and all of that. That's not even really real. Okay. And Kanye was saying that. Now, some would say that he was saying that racism is irrelevant as it relates to Trump and that he is racist and I'm going to do it him anyway. I doubt that's what he was saying. What I think Kanye was talking about is you can't try to control me with saying that this man is racist. I don't think that he's racist, and I'm going to go ahead and rock out with him. We can get things done. His wife went to the White House first as far as being able to get some things accomplished and got a woman free from jail, a black woman who had been in there for a long time. Barack Obama had the opportunity to free her. The name Alice Marie Johnson came across his desk. He decided he didn't want to do that for whatever the reason may be. I don't know. You got somebody's grandma in the penitentiary for 20 years for answering phones and the dope operation. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve to be in jail at all, but I'm just saying if there was anybody that Obama could have freed, it should have been her after 20-something years. If you call yourself a liberal, isn't that what you're into? But Trump is a conservative guy that's big, bad racist and is able to do it right away. Now, people could say, oh, it's because Kim Kardashian is a celebrity and she's high, all this, that, and the third. But look, Trump is a guy that, in my opinion, is more available than other presidents of previous administrations. All these rallies and whatnot he's going to all the time. He's listening to the people more than a Barack Obama, George Bush, Slick Willie, Bill Clinton, all these people. People don't see that. They're just so caught up in what the media is telling them to think and what they already had in their mind before about people that are Republican or conservative.
Let me deal with this, guys. I'll be out the super chat after this. Okay, what you're saying is Ben Carson. You gave a clear example of Ray Lewis, Jim Brown, people who even just take photos with Donald Trump or something like that. All of a sudden, they get coon or sellout. Mm-hmm. Okay, in the case of Kanye West, I can hear somebody saying, hey, that's not necessarily the truth regarding Kanye West with Donald Trump. Because number one, slavery was a choice. That was a comment that he made. The way Kanye carries himself. Some people will say Kanye is embarrassing to black men. I mean, I listened to David Carroll about that. He made a strong point about that. There was a super chat that came through earlier. So the way that Kanye handled himself in the White House, he's pretty much it's not that he's necessarily assiding himself with Donald Trump or the Make America Great Again, but nobody can just take him serious. He's an absolute clown. He's a buffoon. He's in a, one of people say he's married to Kim Kardashian. It's an interracial relationship. But let me kind of get back to that. I'll leave the interracial relationship out on the side here.
Yeah.
When we're talking about Kanye West and his behavior, some of the things he said, people said he's a buffoon and stuff like that. That's the real reason why blacks are mad at him, because he makes African Americans look bad. What would you say to that?
Well, I just want to know what exactly has Kanye West been doing, or how has he been behaving that's different than what he always has been throughout his career? That's what I want to know, because my thing is, when I see Kanye talking the way he talks, he's been doing that since the very beginning. Look at old interviews. Look at when, again, he was at a telethon talking about George Bush. I mean, this is the same kind of guy you've been seeing for a long time. All right. So I don't understand this whole thing about he's a buffoon. He's behaving strange, making us look bad. He's always been like this. So why wasn't this type of energy directed towards him in years past? And what exactly did he say that would make you think that he's some kind of buffoon? Like, how was he acting that makes you think he is a buffoon? He was just talking like a regular person would talk. He's not like me. Like I said earlier, I'm going to give you the Fox News, MSNBC, CNN type of talking points. And for those of you who don't agree with that, you don't think I'm telling the truth. I've been asked by major news organizations to be part of their actual team as a permanent panel member, but I did not like the network, so I declined. And I'm on TV a lot, so this is what I know. Kanye is not the kind of guy you're going to have on TV as a contributor or a pundit or somebody that's in the panel. That's just not what he is. And he never has been that. So that's why I say the only reason why people are upset is because of who he's talking to, not the way he's talking, because the way he's talking has been the exact same for like the past 15, 20 years.
Okay.
What are we talking about here? We're not talking about a person who just came on recently. He's been in the public eye for a very long time, since I was probably like in high school, and I'm 34. All right. So I just don't get it. The only explanation I can come up with is because he's meeting with a guy that people don't like. Again, if it was with Barack Obama, nobody would say anything. Nobody said anything about Rick Ross, the rapper, going to the White House, meeting with Barack Obama, and having his ankle monitor go off in the Oval Office. Nobody said anything about that. Nobody said anything about Rick Ross acting the buffoon, making us look bad. You know, he beat up somebody, kidnapped him, this, that, and the third, and then went to the White House with his ankle monitor on. Nobody said anything about that. Nobody says anything about these rappers that talk about, you know, spiking girls' drinks, and they ain't even know it. Oh, that was Rick Ross went to the White House. Nobody said anything about, oh, Rick Ross shouldn't go to the White House because he was talking about date rape drugs in the song and glorifying it. Nobody said anything about that. Okay. T.I., same thing. A repeat offender, multiple felon. Kanye never been in trouble with the law. He never been locked up, never sold any drugs. But because he's not giving you the Tom Brokaw, Don Lemon, Lester Holt type of delivery, all of a sudden he's a clown and he's a buffoon. But to anybody that says that, point out some things that he has done specifically, or things he said specifically that would make him be some kind of buffoon or a coon, sellout, shoe shiner, or whatever.
You know, let's talk about this real quick. Before we do so, let me guys go. We have 725 watching. Do me a favor, if you're in the chat, go ahead and like the video. For those people that just saw my new episode of the Thirst Box, episode 4, you can go check it out on my Oshay Duke Jackson main channel. I hope you like it. I worked really hard on that episode. Let me just do this. Let me shout out some people that are on the super chat. And we have Cross-Eyed Cricket Farms, Dar99, Kimmett's son, get the likes up, Oshay. Shouldn't have to keep telling y'all every 5 minutes. We have over 40 people here. That should be 400 likes. Cross-Eyed Cricket Farms again. Mackley, Mr. Logan, what did Michael Steele do deserve to be called out on national TV by his own party? They did say being black was a problem. A Dr. Bird, $2 super chat. Eric Robinson out of Illinois. Trolls half right face, front lean position move. All right. Again, Cross-Eyed Cricket Farms. Let me talk to you about this. Let's talk about this whole T.I. issue.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to talk about T.I. is not necessarily just for him, you know, as a person, but it seems like we have a group of individuals that are similar to T.I., whether they have been in the trouble before with the law, or people who are, you know, disruptive in the black community. I know T.I. has a trap music museum that has came out, and
Yes.
trap music obviously is about making music about selling drugs in dope houses. He unfriended Kanye West because Kanye West met with the president. Now I know also Meek Mill was trying to do the same thing with prison reform, and Jay-Z talked him out of it. And then you know, you have this group of Black America where you have Jay-Z ex-drug dealer, T.I. ex-drug dealer. In other communities, such people would not have a voice to talk about other people and call them names. Like I think he called him he called him a Sambo. Why is it in the black community that people like T.I. feel so comfortable with having the past that they have and talking trash about other African Americans that have just a difference of a political opinion?
Yeah, it's because we've been brainwashed. We think that if you go against the Democratic Party, if you go against liberalism, then you somehow are a traitor. And then we're trying to excommunicate you publicly. We don't want to handle anything in-house. We don't want to handle anything behind closed doors. We just don't do it. And a lot of us just can't get along. You got all types of differences in the black community. You got light skin versus dark skin. You got this gang versus that gang. You got the Pookies and the Ray Ray versus the educated lames. You got all kind of division that's happening. So we don't think twice about, you know, calling somebody to the carpet, our own friend, publicly and saying these things. It's really just a product of dysfunction that exists. A lot of us raised without fathers. We don't understand what it is to get into a fight with somebody and shake hands afterwards and it's all good. You know, if we got a problem with you, we want to go out there and kill you or lynch you publicly. There's no type of code. There's no type of decorum. There's nothing. And that's a greater symptom of what's happening internally in the black community. A lack of parents, a lack of structure, a lack of guidance. See, you're talking about the Jews. They don't do this. if there was a guy like, let's say, Ben Shapiro, he is a conservative a little bit, and he is a super Jewish guy. Wears a yarmulke, observes the Sabbath, the whole 9 yards. Religious person, was a virgin until he got married. If he has a problem with a Jewish person, they're not going to really go too deep into it on TV. They may have a civil disagreement on television, but they're not going to get too far into name calling and stuff like that. They're just not going to do it. It's a code among them, regardless of whether they're left, right, center, whatever. They're just not going to have these big blow ups on television. All right. That should be the way we handle it. But so many of us are so comfortable in the constant beef, the constant strife, the constant just disarray in the Black community. It's nothing for us to just throw away a longtime friend publicly on TV if they go against a thing that we agree with. That's just what it is, and it's really a shame.
Let me ask you this. You know, I have the pro-Black community that comes over here all the time. Shout out to George. I'm not saying that George is saying this, but I know how some of the people that come, I see Black Ice TV, the brother from Britain. I don't know if he's still here. And he talks a lot about a lot of American stuff, even though he's in Britain. No, I'm just messing with you, brother. You know, we just gotta, you know, because we you know the Black Americans be giving you that work when you come on here, player. But if I'm playing back what I think with George or Black Ice TV or some of the brothers that come up from the conscious community, they would say, well, that division you're talking about, where does it come from? You're talking about the symptoms, but these sort of behaviors or tactics you see African Americans, that comes from white people trying to divide Black people. So let's talk about it. I mean, this is something that, you know, and you're in this Black YouTube. What would you say to somebody when you see that dysfunction that is blamed on the system of white supremacy?
You know what? I'm kind of glad you brought this up because I want to go in a little bit on this. I hate when people talk about the white man and blame for everything, especially when you're talking about how we act amongst each other. All right. The white man is not just some kind of omnipotent being. People that say that look at Black folks as inferior. Shout out to my man T West for the whole white supremacy breakdown. If you look at the white man as superior, you look at yourself as inferior. And it's not just on the word, it's on the actions that follow it as well. If you think the white man can just convince you, the Black man, to hate your own mama, your daddy, sell drugs, kill your brother, kill your sister, if you think the white man can convince you of that, then what kind of mind do you have? All right. What kind of person are you to be so easily malleable and manipulated that way? All right. At the end of the day, I'm a man. I have my own mind. I'm not going to have some white guy randomly that's not even in front of my face just tell me, okay, I got to do X, Y, and Z, and then I go do it. You know, I'm going to make my own decisions, not be worried about some invisible force telling me to do so. And people talk about stuff from slavery. It's like, man, look, slavery was a long time ago. It's over. You're not a slave. Your mama wasn't a slave. Let it be. It's done. People hold on to that as an excuse as to why they're not doing well. And really what they want to do is to get everything from the white man while not contributing to society themselves. They want to have all these nice roads, the clean air, you know, the air conditioning, all this kind of stuff, the vehicles and whatnot, without doing anything for themselves. They're probably driving some kind of Japanese car. See, look, the Asians, they took whatever was given to them by the outside world and improved upon it to the point where they're going to be the leaders, especially talking about China. They're going to be the leaders. Now, when China is in charge, what are you going to say then? Are you going to say, oh, well, the Chinese man brainwashed me to do X, Y, and Z? At what point do you have your own agency as a human being? Are you a pet? Are you a monkey? Are you somebody that's so stupid you can't even come up with your own thought process? You're like a gerbil in a cage with a human owner, and you rely upon the human owner for everything, for your food, for your water, for your entertainment, for your human connection. Are you your own man or not? So I hate when people say, oh, you got to talk about the white man. The reality is we had a lot of issues amongst ourselves back in Africa, and that's the truth, because if it was not for Africans going against other Africans, we would not be here to begin with. There is no way that the white man could come into the interior of the continent and just take over the whole Mandingo nation. Think about it. When the white man would come here to get slaves and send them back to the New World, they ain't come on no warships. They came on a trade ship. There's no way you could have 20 to 30 English guys or wherever they came from, Portuguese, French, whatever. There's no way you could not have them come to the coast of West Africa and just take over the whole nation. They came to the coast, picked up slaves that were already there, and then gave you a cannonball, a mirror, some liquor, or something like that. That's the truth. And shout out to my man Dynas, who went to Africa and had them tell him exactly that. That's the reality. But the way we look at it is in the movie Alex Haley Roots, where they came onto the shore with a net, a net for real. Look, we're not bears or dogs or deer or something like that, or fish. You're not going to just be able to catch us with a net. There's no way. Like, think about it. If somebody came up to you with a net, would they be able to catch you? Like, you walking down, like, Oshay, you in the street, right? You walking down the street in Poland, and here comes some dude out to cut with a net. Are you just going to get caught up and go where they want you to go? You're going to be fighting. You're going to be defending yourself. You're going to do all that stuff. Especially back then, we were people that had weaponry. We were able to defend ourselves. The truth is, you had black folks that would come into the interior, raid villages, take prisoners, put them into prison, wait for the Europeans to come, and also the Arabs, and sell them. That's the truth. So if you want to talk about the white man this, the white man that, you're just devaluing yourself, all to give yourself an excuse as to why you're not doing very well in this world. And it's really a crying shame.
Let's deal with one thing here. But guys, thank you for being in the chat. I'll read out the super chats here just in a second. 774 people right now. I'm very, very glad to see you Negroes in here tonight. We'll open it up here. I know Brandon Tatum has expressed to come on. I see Nick. I see Erica. So we already have the panel for tonight. So do me a favor and let's get the likes up on the video. I would like to see 500 people liking the video. We only have 279 people. And also, we have a very good guest, Anthony Brian Logan, who's here with us. He's here all the time on the Rumble. He's led off the most Rumbles that we've had on the Sunday. So he's very popular, at least on this channel. I've done like at least 30, 40 something shows with ABL. Support our brother. He does breaks really great content. He's a very, very good debater. Anthony, this is what I want to talk to you. I made the case, and I think maybe Kanye West is hinting at this also. African Americans get really upset when black people like Bill Cosby, black people like ABL that want to put blacks under the fire with accountability. And my hypothesis about that is one of the reasons why is because African Americans really just don't want to compete in the United States. They have already given up. They feel that they just want to be victimized. In any African American that is trying to hold their feet to the fire, they're automatically going to dislike them. They're going to hate them. And people like Kanye West, when he's talking about the black on black crime and talking about some of the things that blacks are doing, which he has, great points on that. It's easy to say this person's a coon or a sellout for the fact that African Americans simply just do not want to improve their conditions. They don't want to compete. Is it your understanding that African Americans would rather blame somebody else than get out there and actually work to produce the outcomes they want to see?
Oh, absolutely. Because it's easier to do that. It's easier just to go out there and say, you know what? It's the white man's fault. So while at the same time I can blame the white man, I'm also going to be totally dependent upon the white man. I don't want to work. I don't want to do anything. So I'm going to get all the kind of benefits from the white man, whether it's direct welfare as far as food stamps, EBT, WIC, TANF, or whatever, whether it's subsidized housing, Section 8, whether it's placement into college where they shouldn't be in the college with affirmative action and SAT score preparation, and also getting into jobs or affirmative action. You want to have everything lined up for you, everything given to you while you do nothing. That's not how society operates. See, this is why so many of us can't build, because we don't understand the concept of building. We're thinking that we're entitled to something. We're owed something. People talking about reparations. I want this. I want that. You're waiting on something to come from this white man because you feel like you're entitled. Meanwhile, life is passing you by. So when somebody says, black man, be accountable, take up for yourself, don't just keep blaming the white man for all your problems, that goes against the whole plan. It's like, wait a minute. My plan was to keep blaming the white man, see if I can get some money, see if I can get some benefits, see if I can have a better time in life. if I can go into a place and just throw a fit and say the white man made me do it, then I'll be able to get off. I mean, that happens a lot in these inner city areas where these guys are running into people's houses, beating old ladies in the head. The lawyer will use a defense, and I've seen this on television from local cases, national cases, or whatever. They use a defense. Well, he didn't have a father in his house. He's a young black man. He didn't know the extent of how bad this was. And a lot of times the judges go easy on them. It's a culture of wanting to get things that you aren't really entitled to. So, like I said, when you have Bill Cosby come out and talk about being accountable, when Kanye comes out and says be accountable, we don't want to hear that. And then we get offended. Our fifis come into play. Our feelings get into play. Because if Kanye West comes out and says slavery was a choice, which it was a choice, and I'll talk about that briefly. I ain't gonna get into it. Mm-hmm. But you had the choice of you can either be a slave, fight back, and maybe die. It's a tough choice, but it's a choice. All right. And I'll move on. When people hear that, it takes away their excuse card. It takes away their victimhood card. It takes away their ability to use that. So they're going to fight to defend their ability to use it. So when somebody says to them, why aren't you doing well? Why isn't the black community doing well? They can always say, oh, it's because of the white man. It's because of white supremacy. It's because of slavery. It's because of Jim Crow. It's because of Tulsa, Oklahoma. They tore down Black Wall Street. When these things are taken away, they have nothing, and then they're vulnerable. And a lot of these weak people out here are weak mentally, and they got to have something to back them up because they're so vulnerable. They can't stand on their own 2 feet, which is why, again, the whole thing about slavery being, all on the white man, and it came with a net and all this and that, and there was no black people involved. That's why that is so important to uphold, because when you're talking about personal accountability, everything that we hinge our whole ideology on goes against that. Mm-hmm. And I'll leave it there.
Let me ask you this real quick, because we talk about welfare and food stamps and marriage to the Democratic Party to these things. I don't know if Kanye West is aware of this, but I mean, I know that you are. You have a lot of African Americans who are the antithesis of that. I mean, we have blacks insofar as Michael Eric Dyson, blacks who are very educated. If you look at CNN, people like Van Jones with the Vanderbilt. You have a lot of blacks who are highly educated, highly intelligent, that hate Donald Trump. Blacks who understand what it takes to make it, to become successful. Okay. Why do we have these middle or upper class blacks who have worked really hard? Why do they why are they so stuck on liberal Democratic policy views when they are not on welfare, when they are very successful, when they are upper middle class or elite?
Well, the reason why is because of a couple of things. The main thing with those guys is that a lot of what they talk about hinges upon the black victimhood narrative being intact. Now, I forget who the quote came from. Might have been Booker T. Washington or somebody that was saying that a lot of black folks are not interested in solutions because if the problem was to be solved, then there'd be no jobs for these people. Michael Eric Dyson is a guy that comes on and basically raps in a very professional way about black victimhood. If black victimhood were to go away, then he would not have his shtick anymore. He'd be out of work. It's like if you were a person that deliver ice for a living and like the old school little cooler or whatever you had like in the vehicle before the refrigerator. Now here comes the refrigerator in everybody's household. You're going to fight against that because it's going to kill your job. And you are a guy that's kind of older, like in Michael Eric Dyson's case. He's not an old man, but he's like in his 50s maybe. So he doesn't want to have to, at 50 something years old, reinvent himself into a whole different person. He wants to keep doing what he has been doing, which is making him money. Guys like Van Jones, same thing. His whole shtick is kind of being in the center, but still leaning left. So you go on this show and he'll say certain things you agree with if you're a conservative, but then he try to bring you back to the center and make you appear to be on his side. So then when it goes on television, talk about Trump being a buffoon or a clown, it makes you look like you agree with him, although you don't. So their whole shtick, their whole game, their whole ability to make money would be wiped away if it were revealed that the black victimhood narrative is false. And if you had a lot of black folks that were to buy into it, it's very simple. You also have this thing like they call black guilt. You got a lot of black folks that are out here that are very well to do, very well spoken, come from a nice family, all this, that, and the third. They feel like they are guilty because some of their cousins are still in the hood, can't get out. Some of their childhood friends may have died or something like that. You know, I got friends. I know a lot of people is in jail. I don't feel guilty. I know probably about 15 to 20 guys is in jail right now or that's dead. I'm not going to sit here and be somehow guilty or feel ashamed that I'm not where they are. I just feel lucky. Some of the guys I might talk to might call me on the phone, might write me a letter, and they say look up to me because I'm a guy that I go down the same road they went. Guys that's older than me would say, you know what? I wish I would have went down your road and followed in your footsteps because you did the right things. I did the wrong things. That's what real men do. They take accountability and responsibility for their actions. Most of the guys I know that's in jail are not going to be out here talking about Black Lives Matter, this, that. They're not going to do that because they know what they were doing when they were out there. And as men, they accept responsibility for whatever happens. They accept the consequences. They know what the game is. They know how it ends. They know how to play it. And if they play it and it doesn't go their way, they accept their fate more often than not. So to answer your question, a lot of black folks that are successful, that have money, that are doing well, they either feel guilty about what's going on, so they want to go this extra mile to prove that they're down for the cause. Same thing with people like Colin Kaepernick, you know, mixed people that feel like they're not really black enough, not really white enough, but that's a whole different story. People like that want to overcompensate for how they feel on the inside. A lot of them may be conservative on the inside, but they feel so guilty, it overrides their true conservative nature. Also, guys like Michael Eric Dyson and others want to preserve their jobs. It's not even about anything else. When they probably go home to their white wife, in the case of Van Jones, they probably talk about conservative things all day long. But when they get in front of them cameras, all of a sudden, here comes Mr. Liberal guy talking all this stuff. But I digress. You muted, boss. Oshay, you on mute, boss.
Yeah, sorry, I was going in. Shout out to Moses. He's talking about he has survivor's guilt. Me and him, as you guys know, we grew up together. Went to the same high. I've been known over 20 years, and we were able to use our academics to get out of the neighborhood. Shout out to Zach Heen. But let me deal with this also. We talk about Black America. Why does Black America have a problem with Kanye West? Now, when we look at who Kanye West is married to, this is just as an example. Kanye West is married to a woman who is not black. So
yes.
First mistake is he is agreeing with Trump, has the Make America Great Again hat on. Okay. And then he's married to a non-black woman, and you would qualify her as maybe being a culture vulture or the like. But one of the things is that we know that one of the talking points is for black men. And also, I want to do a show called "Why Are There So Many Conservatives, Black Conservatives Married to White Women" or something like that. I mean, but that'd be interesting. A lot of black conservatives, people who I've noticed that there's a good percentage of them, not saying like a lot, but at least over half. A lot of black conservatives tend to be married to whites or non-blacks. And then also there's this kind of theory that if you're kind of married to, non-black people, you have somehow given up on the community and you are not in the community anymore. So do you think, what's your thoughts about Kanye West being criticized for being married to a non-black person?
I mean, it's really kind of a irrelevant thing to talk about. And to touch on that briefly, I think you got a lot of black men that are conservative who are married to non-black women because most black women are not interested in conservatism. I mean, you got a big time swing. It's a big time gap in the voting. Black men support Trump much more than black women. During the election, I think it was something like 20% of black men under the age of 30 voted for Trump. But that same age group, it was only like 2% of black women. So you got a problem there. You got a problem with compatibility. Most black women, unfortunately, are not gonna be down with the whole conservative thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of changing now that you have people that are younger and starting to be more open-minded, but you still got a big gap, 2% under 30 versus 20% under 30 for the men. So imagine what it was back in the day when it was worse. Maybe 0. I mean, it'd be difficult for you to find somebody that's going to be on the same page with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty much what it is. It ain't really too much to it. People talk about that to try and discredit people.
Okay.
And it's funny when you got liberals do the exact same thing, they get all kind of excuses made for him. Just like I talked about with Van Jones. He's married to a white woman, got kids and everything else. But that's okay because he has the liberal point of view.
Uh-huh.
It won't get brought up until somebody's conservative. This is what I'm talking about. You can be a liberal and do whatever you want. You could be a homosexual, Don Lemon, and be with white men, Don Lemon. You can be married to a white woman, Van Jones, and have kids with the white woman, Van Jones. But if you're Kanye West or you can't have a non-black wife, you're a coon, your Uncle Tony, you a sellout. It's only because he's conservative. If you're liberal, you could do whatever you want. And that's just how it is in the black community. Like I said from the beginning, we don't criticize people that follow the liberal point of view. We only criticize those that follow the conservative point of view.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you're liberal, you can do whatever you want. We'll vote for you. We don't care about your voting record or whatever. But if you're conservative, I got to tell you all about their voting record, where they came from, where they went to school, who they married to, who their kids are, all this, that, and the third. People want to become political experts and pundits and researchers when it comes to a conservative, but none of that is required for a liberal.
Mm-hmm. Let me do this real quick. Good strong point. I think there's some people that are disagreeing in the chat. We got almost 900 people. That's pretty good for a Monday. I'll definitely take it for this channel. Do me a favor. Let's get 145 people to like the video. And who is not subscribed to Anthony Brian Logan? If you are not subscribed to Anthony Brian Logan and you would like to do so, just in the chat, press 8. Okay. I'm going to read some super chats and I'm going to go ahead and then we'll go over about another question or so. I'll then open it up. I know that there's JSPK Fitness that's there. I saw Kevin Samuels there. I saw Nick Taylor there. I know Erica Williams is there. Andre Hatchett is going to be here. Actually, Information Man is here, and an Information Man wanted to bring in Gap Talk Media, so I'll give him an opportunity. Let me just say this real quick, guys. If you're in the chat, do not hit the @ sign on my name. Okay. If you want to get my attention, the way that you do it, that's what Super Chat is for. So if you @ my name, then immediately you're going to get timed out. That's the rules of this channel. So not to be rude or anything, that's just how it works. Okay. So Kevin Samuels is here. We'll get all those people here onto the show. But let me just read off some super chats. And Erica Williams, come on now. Lots of black women are secret conservatives. They don't want to babysit other folks' kids. Take care of yourself. Ben's Jones' wife is divorcing him. That's a wrap. Uh-oh. Afro, Oshay, ask him to explain the black identity extremist classification put on Rakeem Belugan, since he believes there isn't a systematic oppression. What do you have to say about that? I don't know who that is, Rakeem.
I'm not really sure who that is. I think I know what it is, but I can't say for certain that I know who the guy is. But I mean, there are some guys that fall into that category of BIEs. You could pretty much identify them. Guys that, they may not necessarily be mentally stable. Sometimes their family would say something about them. Just like the guy, Michael Xavier Johnson, that was a prime example. He was in the military before. Mm-hmm. His family saw changes in him. He was in the house. He was out in the back practicing, with like gun exercises. You could tell that he was kind of going down a dark road, and then he wound up doing what he did. So guys like that, they do exist. It's a truth. And I think we all know that this is just what it is.
All right. So let me do this. 394. Okay, Z. Hold on. Get him out of here. Oh, there you go. All right. Also, Afro, $2. Hollywood Hawkins, thank you. Haitian Fat 31. Don't forget, Kanye was forcibly removed from a stage performance after his truth ran about Jay-Z. Well, he was taken to a hospital for evaluation, parading him around like a puppet. Black Panther, great dialogue, and agree with ABL about Kanye's erratic behavior. Moses Jenkins, my brother, yesterday and today, African men fear the sustained assault on their people by foreigners with gunpowder. I don't blame white men, I blame murderers. Shout out to Moses King side. If Kanye makes black people look bad, what does drug dealers, gang members, love and hip hop, black ink, and rappers make black people look like?
Preach.
I agree with that. Larry Wilson, 081, great shape as always. Oshay, keep up the good work. Thanks, Unc. That's Uncle Larry in this motherfucker. You know what? Trump used Kanye to say what he couldn't. Okay, let's talk about that. That's a good thing before we open it up. Right? There's this kind of thing that white people, both on liberals and conservative sides, when they want to communicate with the black community, they know they can't say it. Shout out to my boy Chief Drino. They will use a black person to say what they can't say because they don't want to be called racist. Do you think that Donald Trump is using Kanye West to get across what he can't say, but to kind of keep his hands clean with the situation?
No, I don't think so. I think he just wants to give Kanye West a platform to say what he wants, because during the election, he had the whole "what do you have to lose" speech. If you guys remember that, where he talked about what do the black people in America have to lose? You don't have any jobs, you're on welfare. You say all that during the campaign, and he was still able to get more of the black vote than Mitt Romney did in 2012, and more of the Hispanic vote. Okay. And then he also talked about how Mexico's not sending us their best people, they're sending us murderers, rapists, and whatnot. Yet he was still able again to get more of the Hispanic vote than Mitt Romney did in 2012. So he doesn't need to use Kanye. Kanye just requested probably a platform to say what he wanted to say. Trump did not interrupt him. You could tell it wasn't scripted, obviously. In order for something to be a situation that's thought out like that, it has to be scripted. If you're saying that Trump wants to use Kanye to say what Trump cannot say, then it would have been scripted, because he would have said, okay, you're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. But obviously that wasn't the case. Kanye just talked, and he was speaking about things that are mostly things that liberals would agree with.